Welcome to this explainer on the absolutely remarkable biological machinery of the human ear. If you're gearing up for your grade 12 life sciences exams, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down one of the most fascinating sensory organs in the human body. It's a real game changer.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with number 1, mapping the ear's anatomy. Then move to 2, the process of hearing, 3, the process of balance, and finally 4, hearing defects and treatments. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. Mapping the ear's anatomy. We're going to take an outside-in journey to define our anatomical cast of characters, starting right at the outer ear.
Okay, so we begin at the surface. Your outer ear is basically made up of the pinna and the auditory canal. The pinna is that cartilage flap on the side of your head, and it acts exactly like a biological funnel, directing sound waves straight into the auditory canal. Now, this canal isn't just an empty tunnel. It's actually a protective, wax-lined pathway with tiny hairs. It transmits sound further in, sure, but it also traps foreign bodies before they can get anywhere near the delicate structures inside.
Moving a bit deeper, we hit an air-filled cavity known as the middle ear. This is a supercritical juncture. It's completely separated from the outside world by the tympanic membrane, which you probably just call your eardrum. Right behind that membrane, you'll find the incredibly tiny ossicles, along with the oval and round windows.
What's really wild here is how this whole middle section acts as a literal biological amplifier. When sound waves hit the tympanic membrane, it vibrates. Those vibrations are then handed off to the ossicles. That's the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. These three irregularly shaped little bones are linked together to massively amplify those vibrations. Then the oval window transmits these amplified vibrations into the inner ear, while the round window is there to absorb excess pressure. Oh, and down below, we've got the eustachian tube. That connects right to the back of your throat to equalize the surrounding air pressure so your eardrum doesn't just burst.
All right, let's keep going deeper into the inner ear. Past the oval window, we enter this complex, fluid-filled world completely housed inside the bones of your skull. This is the bony labyrinth, which is filled with a fluid called perilymph. And inside that is a membranous labyrinth filled with endolymph. This is where we find the semicircular canals and the vestibule, housing our incredibly complex balance centers.
Now you absolutely must remember the maculae for your exams. These brilliantly complex receptors are the star players when it comes to sensing gravity. They're nestled right inside the membranous sacs of the vestibule, the sacculus and nutriculus, and they consist of tiny hair cells. But here is the crazy part. They're covered in a jelly-like substance and literally contain tiny calcium carbonate stones. When you tilt your head relative to gravity, those stones shift, pull on the jelly, and bend the hairs. That sends a spatial signal straight to your brain. Just amazing.
Also nestled inside the inner ear is this cool, snail-shaped structure called the cochlea. While the vestibule and semicircular canals are busy keeping you balanced, the cochlea is strictly dedicated to the magic of processing sound. It's actually divided into 3 fluid-filled chambers.
Inside that middle chamber of the cochlea, just taking a bath in the endolymph fluid, is the organ of Corti. This is your body's ultimate translator. It contains tiny hairs embedded into a membrane, so when pressure waves ripple through the fluid, those hairs bend. The organ of Corti takes those mechanical vibrations and converts them into electrical nerve impulses. Those impulses travel up the auditory nerve to your cerebrum, and that is where you actually experience hearing a sound.
Section 2. The process of hearing.
Now that we've mapped out the anatomy, let's hit play and trace a single sound wave through this whole sequential chain reaction.
Notice the action-oriented sequence here. This is exactly how you want to think about it for your exam. It's a relay race. Step 1. The pinna traps the sound and funnels it down the canal. Step 2. The tympanic membrane vibrates. Step 3. The ossicles take the baton, massively amplify those vibrations, and hand them off to the oval window. And because the oval window is smaller than the eardrum, the pressure actually increases, amplifying the sound even more. Step 4. The vibrating oval window sends pressure waves rippling through the endolymphs in the cochlea. Step 5. The organ of Corti is stimulated, generating a nerve impulse that shoots right up to the cerebrum. Perfect biological teamwork.
But wait, what happens to all that pressure after the sound is heard? Well, this brilliantly illustrates nature's design. The round window steps in to absorb the excess pressure waves from the inner ear. Those waves then safely exit your body via the eustachian tube. Honestly, without the round window absorbing that residual pressure, every single sound would echo uncomfortably inside your skull forever.
Section 3.
The process of balance. Hearing is only half the story, folks. Let's switch gears and look at the functional steps of maintaining upright balance. Dynamic balance is all about those semicircular canals. When you move suddenly, like changing your speed or direction, the fluid inside these three canals sloshes around. This fluid shift stimulates the crista, which are receptors located in the swollen bases of the canals called ampullae. These crista detect the change and fire off warning impulses straight to your cerebellum. Your cerebellum then rapid-fires signals to your skeletal muscles to adjust your posture and keep you from falling flat on your face.
Now, this biological machine is incredibly efficient, for sure. But what exactly happens when a part of this delicate sequence breaks down or gets blocked? Section 4. Hearing defects and treatments. Let's apply our newfound anatomical knowledge to some real-world medical problems and check out their modern solutions.
You'll definitely need to distinguish between two major issues for the exam: middle ear infections versus deafness. A middle ear infection happens when excess fluid builds up because of an inflamed eustachian tube, usually caused by some sort of pathogen. It's basically a temporary blockage problem. Deafness, on the other hand, refers to total or partial hearing loss. This is usually a structural failure, like an injury to the ear parts or nerves, or maybe a hardening of tissues, like those delicate ossicle bones.
Treating middle ear infections usually just involves medication to fight off the pathogens. But for persistent infections, especially in young kids, where the fluid just refuses to drain, doctors use grommets. A grommet is a tiny surgical draining tube inserted directly into the tympanic membrane. It physically bypasses the blocked eustachian tube, letting the trapped moisture drain right out and restoring normal vibration.
Now let's look at a specific cause of deafness. Consider this classic exam-style scenario: otosclerosis. The crucial point here is understanding the chain reaction. If the tiny stirrup bone freezes up and becomes immovable, the vibrations simply aren't transmitted to the inner ear. The oval window doesn't move, the fluid doesn't ripple, and the organ of Corti will not be stimulated. The whole amplification chain literally stops dead in its tracks, resulting in hearing loss.
Luckily, modern medicine offers some absolutely incredible technological fixes for deafness. By comparing our natural anatomy with modern devices, we can see two primary solutions: exterior hearing aids and surgical cochlear implants.
So how do they differ? Well, think of a hearing aid as an artificial middle ear that boosts sound. It receives, transmits, and amplifies sound vibrations before sending them down the auditory canal. A cochlear implant, however, is more like an artificial organ of Corti. It receives sound vibrations and converts them directly into electrical impulses that are wired straight into the auditory nerve. It completely bypasses the damaged mechanical parts of the ear. It's a total bypass.
From cartilage funnels to tiny calcium stones keeping you grounded, the human ear is just an absolute marvel. And as technology advances, how much further do you think we can go in engineering solutions to replicate these intricate biological systems? Remember, mastering the ear for your life sciences exam is simply about mastering this logical chain of events. Study these steps carefully, understand the cause and effect, and you are going to confidently conquer that test. Keep learning, stay focused, and I will see you in the next explainer.